Hi guys, you remember we tried to do a live conversation on Instagram with Ms. Andrea Pintar about dog training, mostly the clicker training, but because of some connection problems we could not. But we have another solution. I recorded the video questions to her and she replied me. Now we start. Hi Andrea, good to see you again. So I know you, but could you please introduce yourself for our followers?
So, my name is Andrea Pintar. I'm Croat, and right now I'm working in Dubai Police as an instructor and evaluator for the detection and search and rescue dogs. I'm helping to establish some training system and establish some standards, the international highest standards for the dog training. Professionally, in the dogs world, I'm the canine behaviorist. I'm finished for certified applied canine ethologist on the Ethology Institute, Cambridge. Also, this is one of my last diplomas for the behavior as a behaviorist, but I'm also international instructor for search and rescue dogs. I'm the trainer for the sport dogs. I'm instructor for the cadaver and the forensic dogs, and I finished some educations also in United States for cadaver dogs on Western Carolina University. For the as expertise for international instructor from the search and rescue dogs, I finished in Slovenia. My professional career, I was 10 years the chief instructor in Croatian Mountain Rescue Service for search and rescue dogs, where I also developed some standards and training standards for the cadaver dogs, because we had lots of cases where the missing person were just went from home. We find them dead in the time when we found them. So we also established and I developed the system of the training search and rescue dogs as dual dogs for the alive and dead people, because the most of the cases was just like that. With my team, we prove it. Some things that the dogs can find assigned graves. It's the graves, human graves, which are older than 2,000 years. So we also publish scientifically our work. And right now, I'm recognized in the world by this scientific work of mine. I'm also affiliate instructor for detection and search and rescue dogs, and I'm certified by NASDU, UK organization for the dog instructors, canine instructors. And to establish and to do all of these things, what am I? I'm also an architect. So first I became an architect. So I work many years, like 20 years, and as an architect that I can also take all of the schools and everything, and I put that I can how can I say that nicely, put some money in my education for the canines, that I can be what am I.
I know you're an architect and you study a long time. I think this education helped to you as a trainer. But how you start the dog training?
So, this is a little bit tricky question for me. because I have these trainers. So the trainers are the people who are training the dogs. And we have these instructors who are the people who are teaching the other people how to train the dogs. So this is like, and I'm both. So I know how to train the dogs and I know how to train the people to become trainers. So this is like tricky questions. But yes, if we are talking about the education, if my education helped me to be what am I? Yes, a lot. I can say something what is the completely different because I have the another master diploma from the another field, so it's architecture. When you're going on normal and regular university to get some diploma and finished as some very smart person, you get the education and then you are going on the field of the practice. And then you are making this match or balance between the education and practice, and you are trying to put your education into the practice. So this is like what I learned from during my regular school. But with the dogs, it's, I will say, a little bit different because most of us have first we get the dogs, so we are in the practice because these dogs need to live, you need to feed them, you need to go out with them. So we are already in the practice and we are already confronting some problems in the behaviors, in everyday life and everything else. So we are already in the practice and then we are trying to find over the education, we are trying to find solutions for just to solving the problems. So it's not the same. Yes, and I know that my colleagues ethologists will say, yes, but you can start on the university, you can start the university for the behavior, and then you are start learning first about the behavior, and then you are jump into the practice. Yes, but how many universities in Europe from the animal behavior we had? I know that one is in Vienna, one is in the UK, but we are still having the dogs and parrots and the cats in our houses, and we are still people on the practice. So that's the, it's just I will say something different. So I collect my knowledge during my practice, so it's overlapping. I must say that Willy's story is really crucial in my life. During the time of his first 2 years, I finished this basic obedience and I also start to compete and I passed the exam with him with really nice some results like 47 from 50 points on the obedience and everything else. And there was something happened. It also in this, I think that you will remember much better. It was really sad part of the. I heard on the news it started the earthquakes in Turkey. That huge ones. It was 2, and I said, okay, I want to have the search and rescue dog, and I want to help in the situations of these earthquakes and go and help and find the people. And I know the cases from this period and these earthquakes where the people spend 1 week under the ruins and then rescuers found them alive. And I said, okay, I want to have a dog who can do it. And this is when I said to myself that I must have the search and rescue dog. That was with Willy, of course. But also, to go in this search and rescue work, I need to work on my relationship with the Willy. So one day I said, okay, now my dog is so smart and we passed disobedience and everything else. I want to see something. I will sit on the middle of the field and I will see what my dog will do if I don't tell him anything. So without any commands or any cue or anything, I want to enjoy into my dogs that the dog approach me because he wants to approach me, and I just want some, I don't know, fairy tale. So I sit took my Billy, we went on the field, I let him free, so he starts sniffing around the flowers and everything else. I sit on the on the floor and waiting for my Willie to come. And I was sitting there like 15 minutes and my dog never, ever, not even once approached me to check me, not even check me. Now I will tell you, but he gave me like 2,000 calming signals because he didn't understand what I'm doing and why I'm not yelling, why I'm not hurting him, why I'm not doing anything, and I'm just sitting there. So he was completely confused and he didn't approach me, not even once. In that time I didn't understand what's going on, but I was so disappointed that my dog, who I did this super obedience and I don't know what, he don't want to approach me if I don't tell him to come. So I can feel this disappointment right now, you know. This is from that moment everything changed in my life and in working with the dogs. This moment of this 15 minutes of tragedy in my life, I will say it like that, it was tragedy in my mind. After that, really, a really disappointment situation, I'm starting to search the way, how can I fix this relationship and what should I do, or how can I fix it and how can I get what I want. And this is that much more relaxed and much more nice and natural relationship with my Willie. So I found some instructor at that time, and then he presented me the clicker. It was the 1998. So we are still in that millennium. So now I'm clicking for 22 years. And then I need exactly 1 year. That's at least, and also what is very important with Willie, he died when he was like 14 years or something like that. He was really lived pretty long, and he died on my hands. But I never, ever get the full trust of that dog because of these 2 years on the beginning. So we finished the exams. He became the search and rescue dogs. He pushed me that I can be the instructor for the search and rescue dogs, because he gave me this license. You need to have the certified search and rescue dog if you want to go for the instructor's license. So he did all of that for me, but I can feel that, and I know even now that he never forgot what I did in these first 2 years. So it was always some like, are you sure you will not do that again? No, I will not, but it's still hurting, you know, when you see how deep you can ruin the relation with animal. So this is my biggest school in my life. So after that I start clicking, and this positive motivation and everything else. I didn't know about the operant conditioning, but it doesn't matter because I get the clicker and I turn my brain upside down completely in the positive way.
So this is a heartbroken story. You start to search and rescue dog training after the earthquake in Istanbul. I worked as a volunteer in that earthquake. That was terrible times. Thank you very much for your help or that kind of mind. Let's talk about dog training. I want to start with the classical conditioning and operational conditioning. Could you please explain us similarities and differences?
Oh, please, no, this boring Pavlov Skinner question about classical and operant conditioning and poor rats and the dogs who needs to salivate in front of food and ringing the bell. Come on. No, this is the most boring question ever for these trainings, but I know that it's the It's just the basics, okay. Classical conditioning, okay. So we had the one dog, and we ring a bell, and the dog get the food and everything else. And then we have the operational conditioning when we have the rat in the Skinner cage. So the rat needs to press some button, and then when he hits that button, the food is going out. So he starts to pressing that button even often, and then we get this operant conditioning when the rat increases the behavior and to getting the food. So increasing, so he's pressing the button more often. So that's the okay. Now we solved the problem of Skinner and Pavlov. Okay. Okay, I will give you the different advice. I will give you the different explanation for this. I remember when my mom, she was born in 41, so she was the kid of the Second World War. So she's starting to going to school immediately after the Second World War. In that period of time, if the kid didn't finish something in the school, it will be hit by the stick over the palm if something was wrong and they write it wrongly. So it was the direct punishment on the wrong behavior. So I will say this is our Pavlov with the bell, and when the dogs are salivate before he getting the food. So that was really direct. It wasn't, nothing operant was in this education system. So you get, if you didn't write the right word or you didn't write nicely on that board with the chalk, so you were punished with the hit, with the pain. So next time you will try to do better to not be hit. So you are trying to avoid some unpleasant stimulus. And yes, I will say that this is the pretty nice way for the classical conditioning. So only with classical conditioning with the dogs, it's that, or with the animals, is that the classical conditioning is always on the inborn stimulus or reflexes. So we are just supporting the something what the animal needs as a primer reflexes. So, but also I can say that we are still, we can never escape the classical conditioning bit, because even with the if we are talking about the clicker training, we will see there's some similarities. So this clicker is just a bell when the reinforcer is coming. So what is the difference between that the bell salivation of the dog and the food is coming, and what is the difference between the clicker sound of the clicker and that the bell? And I will say there is so bell on the beginning is telling the dog that food is coming, and the clicker is telling the dog that the reinforcer is coming. So we can see some similarities in the classical conditioning in this point. So where is in this picture is the operant conditioning. So there is no training of the dogs or no training of animals any kind without operational conditioning. There is no schooling or any alive mammal without operational conditioning. We can also training the fishes, and we can train the humans on operational conditioning. So today, everything what we are learning on the way of the operational conditioning. Also, when we are training our dogs, we are training them over the operational conditioning. So it means that we, with ours, I will say, reinforcers or something what that animal wants, we can increase or decrease the behavior what we want or we don't want. So it means if we're giving the reinforcers, we can increase some behavior, and like the Skinner and that rat who are pressing the button, or we can decreasing if we are not giving that reinforcer. In operant conditioning, we know that we have also this positive punishment, negative punishments, and positive reinforcers and negative reinforcers. So this was the case when we took out our reinforcers, but also in the we can also do that with punishment. So if something is unpleasant to the dog, we can take it out. So like if the dog don't want to drive and don't like to drive in the car because he is feeling sick or something, and we know that the dog needs to be much more comfort into the car, we can reward him with the freedom. What freedom? Get out of the car. So if you will spend 10 seconds in the car, I will reward you with the freedom to be out of the car, because you want the freedom more than. So this is like you will move something negative, and negative is that the dog is in the car where he feeling sick and he don't like to be there. So you can start reinforcing that okay, if you stand these 10 seconds in the car, I will give you the reward as a freedom because you like to run, and then you can increase this staying in the car, and reinforcer of the freedom is staying the same. So this is, you are building up this staying in the car, because the dog will get the positive association that he will get the freedom after he jumps out of the car. I must say that in this operant conditioning I think that the word punishment is the most problematic word in this operant conditioning. Why? When we said punishment, every even me, after all of these years and everything and education, the first idea is something really negative, and it's hurting, and it's like some force or some pain or something like that. In operant conditioning, word mean the punishment, and the meaning of the word punishment is not physical abusive behavior toward the animal. No, it's not. It can be, but it's not. Punishment can be everything what we don't want, we don't like, we don't we're really not enjoying in something, but in some period of time we need to do some things what we are really, like me giving the interview, what is not my favorite spending time, but I need to do it, and I don't know what is my reinforcement, but so that's the also is the same with the animals. So the punishment it's not only physical punishment connected with the pain.
So I know you are a clicker training expert, and you train pet dogs, sport dogs, and working dogs. So how we start the clicker training, or how we evaluate the clicker training? Could you please explain a little to us?
How to start with the clicker? I said that's the basics. Come on, we all know how to start with the clicker. You are starting like Pavlov. You are connecting the sound of the clicker like a bell with the food, and then it's you having that. So and the dog knows that the food is coming. So it's, yes, the most usual way for starting the clicker is connecting the sound with the food, some nice food which dogs like, and that means that when the dog will hear the sound of the clicker, so that famous click, he will know that the food is coming. And then we are starting to extend during our time, that you will have more time, so you can, what is the nice thing with the clicker? You can be very precise. So you can click in just part of that second for something what you like. and immediately after that you will get the dog who are running to get the reinforcer or the food or something or reward. So reward can be the food, or it can be the ball, or the something what the dogs wants, so or animal wants. So usually with working dogs, it's always some kind of play. It's a toy, it's a tug of war or anything like that, or it's just the food reward. But I can say that the normal training, clicker training, is always start with the food reward. So this is the basics of the starting the clicker. So just connection, the sound of the clicker with the food. I know how to train the dog without the clicker, but it's one really great bridge in learning process. It's very simple and very easy bridge between the handler, between the timing, between the reward, between the trainer, between all of the people and the animals who are involved in the training. So that's my answer on this question, how I'm evaluated. I think that it's one of the best tool. It's only a tool in the dog training, and I will explain why. And I don't know why the people don't use it, because if you start thinking about the clicker on the way I'm thinking about the clicker and the sound, and I can show you. I prepared the few different types. You see, this is my clickers. So I have the classical one, I have this smart one, I have this one with the red button is something brand new and I don't like it, but it was expensive, and I like this iClick. So this is all of my clickers. Yes, and I'm using it a lot. I met lots of people who told me, oh, I don't need the clicker, I can do it with my voice, and I can do it with, I will do this, or I will say just bravo. There is also one really interesting, the scientific work. I think it's done in Italy, on the university in animal behavior in Italy. And they are proved that there is in the training, there is no difference, that the dogs will learn faster with the clicker or with the voice reward. So yes, that's true. There is like that. If you can be precise like that with your voice, there is really, you can do the same with the voice. So it's proved. It's scientifically proved. So I will not go over that. But I will tell you something what is behind the clicker and the voice reward. First, I know I'm the lady, so I can talk so much, and I'm always throwing the words out. We are always saying bravo, or good boy, good girl, that's nice. So all of this is the verbal rewards, and every time when we pronounce this bravo or good boy, we need to give some reinforcers, and we are not giving. We are just misusing these nice words like bravo or good boy. So this is the big difference between the clicker and our voice reward, because we humans cannot control ourselves for not misusing the words, because we are just saying all the time good boy or bravo or something like that. With the clicker, with this famous thing, okay, there is the physical. Okay, so my brain is sending to my hand impulse that I need to press this button. So it's a very I have another impulse which is happening in my body. So it's not unconscious, it's conscious thing. Press the button. So in that moment, when my brain sending the information to my hand, press the button, I know that I need to deliver some reinforcer. So there is a less human mistake in this type of the training. And if you can control, I cannot, but if you can control yourself, that you every time when you will pronounce good boy and you will give your dog the food or some other type of the reward, then you can use your words as a clicker. So it's very simple. So just control yourself.
So that's a great information. And I want one more thing from you. So could you please explain to starting the clicker training some exercises, basic exercises to imprint the dog or to teach the dog?
Practice with the clicker, huh? Okay. So we talk about this boring classical and operational conditioning. So first of all, in the beginning, the clicker sounds really simple. So everything is pretty nice. You just click and give the reward. But after, and you need to know that the clicker for me is just one part of the operational conditioning, because it's just the introducing to the dog the way how I will teach him for the new tricks or for the task. So I will use this clicker as a tool for the training, but my training will be operant conditioning, and and it's very hard to explain people that the clicker is not just the clicker. Clicker is very simple. You can train pretty easy any types of the tricks with the clicker pretty fast. And because the reward and happening and what the dog is performing will happen in the really controlled environment with controlled conditions and with the control this rewarding. So this is I will say fast clicker training. So you get the results of the small tricks, like the dogs can turn or sit, or I don't know, the pawing or making a bow on pretty easy, and this is the beginning. But if we are talking about something for the operational dogs or other things, then the really hard operant conditionings need to stand behind the clicker. So the clicker is just the part of operational conditioning of the dogs and the way how we are teaching the dogs. Also, with using the clicker in operant conditioning, for me as an instructor or the trainer, instructor, because I will train another handler how to handle their dogs. In first few sessions, I will have, as an instructor, I will have the clicker and I will click. When I get the some performing of the dog, I will give the clicker to the handler that he start to clicking. So if I want to accelerate the process of learning, I will take the clicker. Why? Because of my experience, I will not miss the timing for the click. So you know what I mean. It's just the part of the second when you need to click that the dog get the really right stimulus in just precise part of the time that he knows that he will get the reward for something. So this is what the opportunity of the clicker as a tool don't need to be in the hand of the handler. It can also be in the hand of the instructor. So this bridge between the dog, reward and everything else, it's much more simple. So we are making less mistakes. So that's really good, nice with it's a really good thing with the clicker.
So, in the last period, many trainers, exactly in the young generation, they say we are positive trainers. They have only clickers and they give rewards. And can we call the positive training only with reward or clicking? So, I want to learn your mind, or what you think about it.
Positive training? You're asking me on something about positive training? Is that something? What is the positive training? So, if you ask me, we have the two types of the trainings. We have operant conditioning and we have classical conditioning. This is the types of the trainings, what I know. But I think that for the people, the positive training sounds much better than operant conditioning. Why? Because they don't understand what is the operant and don't understand what is conditioning. So the positive training is much more nicer to hear. What's that? So we are throwing the rewards to the dogs all the time. So we are feeling good. That was positive. So I don't know what is the positive. I think that the meaning of the positive training should be something that people should like. We don't asking animals if they like, but the people will feeling good. So, and the most, but from the psychology thing, I will say that all the dog trainings are for the humans, because this is the therapy for the dog owners, for the people who love the animals, and all of these trainings is the training of the humans, because we as a living being like to feel nice, positive, and feeling good. So we want to go somewhere where we will feel like that. And if we can bring our animal with us, that's better. So all of us together will feeling much more positive. So I think that this is what the really positive training means, because you can use for the positive. I can give the beer to all of the participants on this training, and it will be really positive training. I'm 100% sure that everyone will come on my training, so it will be really positive, because I will reward the handlers to being there. So that's it. So positive training, okay? I like it. I don't want that anybody feeling bad, but for me, positive training, the name positive training is just the advertising trick. So it's like, because it's something positive. If something positive, it means that something is fun, I will not get mad, I will feeling nice, I will enjoy with my dog and everything else. So it's just the advertising psychology trick for me in my head. So, but it's good, because if we are as handlers and owners feeling good and positive, then it's the positive training. It's like that. So but they're not saying what kind of training is that. Okay, positive clicker training. So, but the clicker as a clicker is always positive, because the sound of the clicker is always connected with the positive reinforcer. So it means that something what will increase the behavior, something what the animal want. So yes, it's a positive. Clicker is always a positive. It's a positive tool. It's a positive association that something positive is coming. So it's pretty easy.
My last and important question: how you use the clicker system for the detection dog training?
Wow. Okay, I like this question. I think that I don't know how to train detection dog without the clicker. So I really have no idea how I will train the dog without the clicker for detection. That's, oh, Houston, I have a problem. Why? It's because that in detection, the timing is most important thing. So that we reward exact moment when something the dog do, which is last a very short period of time, and we need to give the signal in that specific moment, and that our listeners and watchers can understand me more simple. In the beginning, in the detection work, we need to reward the dog for the one sniff. So it means when the dog inhale the air, so like, and then we clicked, and then we giving the reward, because the behavior, it's inborn behavior. So now we are on classical conditioning. It's the sniffing, because one of the first sense for the dog is the sniffing. We need to reward that the dog doing that again. So just the inhale the air when we want, or that the inhaling is the something what you want to do more often, because you will be rewarded for that. So if we can understand this moment and tell me how to reward this without the sound, without to giving the sound for this specific behavior. So after that primary inborn behavior of sniffing, when we connect it with the reward and with the click and the reward and positive thinking, we are connecting that with the smell. So the dog will try to find the smell which is bring the reward. So now we are going in operational conditioning. So that's the when the dog start to trying to find the specific smell which will bring the clicker and the reward after that. Also, in this detection part, we are connecting that smell with another learn behavior. It's some kind of the passive indication. Usually it's the passive indication. That means that the dog needs to sit or lay down or to stare or freeze when it finds that specific smell on which it's trained for. So it's I think that it's this part is really for me it's very simple, so I did that so many times that it's pretty simple, but I don't know how to explain it very simple to the audience, that they can understand what's going on. Also, the sound of clicker, if we are talking about these operational dogs and the dogs who will be deployed somewhere, we need to know that most of the dogs will change the handler. So the trainer will train the dog, and then that dog will go to the handler who will use fully trained dogs. The clicker, the sound of clicker is something we can transfer, because we give the clicker to handler, and then at least the sound of clicker will be the same in the dog's perspective in the work. So because the dog will always act the same when he will hear the sound what he is used on, that it brings the reinforce and that he is rewarded and he brings something positive to his life. So that's the why the clicker is so good, and that why we are using the clicker in detection dogs training. It's really simple and it's very precise, and I think that it's a really great tool for the training such a precise work. That's it. Well, I would like to thank you for the watching and listening, and I hope that I didn't sound too complicated in this whole process. I think that the animals and the humans are pretty simple, and that we can do the learning phase and everything else, we can do it pretty simple if we know the basics and if we can understand what's really going on behind in the dogs and the animals and even the human heads. So this is how I see everything, and it's pretty simple. We can give these really hard names or something we can complicate with the but no, training is really simple, and we should keep it simple. So that's it. But and please educate yourself. So if we educate ourselves, then it will be much easier, because we will understand about the learning process, about how the things are happening, and that every action have some reaction, and we can reward that reaction, or we can punish or just decrease these reactions with our behavior. So stay well and think about and love your dogs, and thank you for watching and listening.